Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. Chelsea's 100% record in the Premier League so far this season has come to an end at the London Stadium as it finished West Ham United 0, Chelsea 0. We're here to talk about the not that many highlights and discuss what went right for West Ham, what potentially went wrong for Chelsea. Charlie, let's take the first 28 minutes until West Ham had a shot at goal. But for the first 28 minutes, we were sitting deep. Chelsea had a lot of the ball. They were looking good. What were you thinking?
You could extrapolate that across the entire game as well. That was basically our plan. But we defended all right. I was concerned coming into it that the likes of Hazard and Willian, when I saw they were lining up together, would be a real danger for our fullbacks. But we played very, very narrow. As you mentioned before, we started to play very narrow with our wingers, and they sort of negated them getting too close. Hazard was about as central as humanly possible to try and create chances in that sort of 10 space, but he just couldn't do it. And I think we held out resolutely. And then when we did come away, there were a few times we struggled to actually get away properly, but when we did, we actually created some decent chances.
Tom, for all of Chelsea's possession, it was actually West Ham with the best chance of the first half. Antonio with a half chance, which he blazed over the bar with his left foot, but then just a minute later, Yarmolenko sort of lost the ball inside the box. It fell perfectly with Antonio at the near post, but it was a good save by that Chelsea goalkeeper with a name that'll get a lot of points in Scrabble. But is that the type of chances you have to take, Tom, in order to win games against top six?
It is, and I think we obviously will speak about another one. We had two of those chances today, probably the best two chances of the game. And you've got to think that maybe, and it's nothing against Antonio, but I just think if you have Arnautovic up front in that situation, I think 9 times out of 10, I think his finishing would be a little bit more, I would say, finesse almost, just the way he would have done it, not just blazed it and smashed it straight at Arrizabalaga, I think, is it, or Kepa, whatever. So it's I don't want to say typical Antonio, because I thought his hold-up play was well. It did well today. It was good at times, but I just think, have we had Arnautovic in that situation, I think that we might have actually converted that chance.
We went in 0-0 at half-time. Then Antonio departed on 64th minute for Perez. In the 73rd minute, Snodgrass came on for Anderson. And then, Charlie, this is the big chance. Tom mentioned it there, but this is what you would put money on him scoring this. Robert Snodgrass, inch-perfect cross on a plate for Yarmolenko. Free header at the back post, and he's somehow missed it. It's one of those you actually have to watch it again to make sure it didn't actually go in.
Yeah, it's a shame, innit? Because Robert Snodgrass does amazingly. Like, he cuts inside and sort of creates the space, shimmies it onto his foot, and puts in a cross, which, to be fair to him, off balance was perfect. Like, you could not get a better cross. And like you say, you would have put your house on him actually putting it in the back of the net. But there's not much to say. He just doesn't get the connection right. And unfortunately, when you do face the big teams, you're going to get few and far between, and you can't not make them count. Otherwise, you don't really get to come away with anything. And then after that, I think there was a collective vibe of, oh, well, we're definitely going to lose then, because I felt it. I saw everyone tweeting it. That was the collective feeling. So actually, at the end of it, it's come away with not costing us a point, but we could have got 3.
At the 84th minute, Mark Noble went off for Sanchez as West Ham held on. But Tom, in the 65th minute, Fabianski headed the ball clear from a Morata shot after doing basically what Patricio did to Arnautovic a couple of weeks ago. They took an absolute belter in the face. And then in the 90th minute, though, he tipped that superbly around the post from Ross Barkley. And that's without all the bits he did in between. Just how good is our keeper proving to be?
One, if not the signing of the summer, for such a snip as well, at the price that we got him for. We knew what we were getting with Fabianski. We all said it. You expect it with him. He makes those kind of saves. It's just routine for him. It's not anything special, but he just does what is necessary and does what is asked of him. Outside of the top 6, he's probably one of the best, if not the best keeper in the league. He's not to say the best keeper in the league, but outside the top 6, he's fantastic. And I think he is. Unfortunately, we've not probably taken as many points as we would have liked, but he has stopped it from being a lot more in terms of goals that we would have conceded this season if it wasn't for him at certain points. And again today, we've just shown why we spent the money for him, and as little as it was, because he was absolutely superb once again.
Tom, while our keeper did fantastic and made some good saves, is it fair to say we did really well to restrict Chelsea? Willian had that chance at the end when he blasted it wide, and Hazard had that opportunity where he laid it off to Morata, or tried to lay it off to Morata instead of trying to slip under the keeper. But apart from that, the defence held well.
Yeah, the defense was absolutely brilliant. I think that's one of the biggest things today was we said in the preview was Chelsea, they're going to be good. They're going to be looked to get behind that line, especially if we're going to play that high line. But the defense, there's a nice partnership going on back there. Everybody seems to be talking with one another. Everybody kind of knows now where the other's going to be. They were resolute as anything today, and they caused Chelsea some problems. Giroud didn't get the space that he wanted to create or to get up and be as powerful if they crossed the ball into the box. He didn't get into the right areas. Hazard was quiet at times. Willian as well. So, it's a huge, it's a hallmark difference from the start of the season. And I think it was probably one that surprised us all today that they were as good as they actually were.
Charlie, perfect game plan?
Yeah. I think keeping the same formation and the same midfield three was vital and would have been vital against bigger teams anyway. I think those three in the middle have formed just a line. And when we go into that defensive shape, when Chelsea are on top, they're so in order. The defense for once, actually, it looks more in order now than it did under David Moyes, who's apparently this defensive masterclass tactician, if you listen to all the pundits. And so I think those people just played out of their skin today. And you saw a lot of times where Chelsea would maybe be a little bit lackadaisical on a pass or a slightly heavy touch, and instantly people on top of them getting that ball back, be it Rice, be it Noble, be it Obiang. And I think that was absolutely perfect today and why we come away with the point.
I think we were superb. I think Pellegrini got the game plan spot on. For the first half hour, we sort of sat in our own box a bit. Whenever Chelsea had the ball in their half, we retreated as far back as we could and said, you can have it there until you get in our half. We're not going to bother chasing it down. We conserved energy when we could. And it worked because then when the ball did get played forward, Antonio had the energy. He wasn't exhausted like we've sometimes seen in the past year or two, where he looks knackered pretty quickly. He was conserving his energy a lot more today. I thought his runs were a lot more intelligent. He didn't run when he didn't need to run. Often he'd let Rudiger, the main one, he let Rudiger have the centre-back. He just stayed there. He didn't run over to him, just let him have the ball. Whereas before, I think Antonio would have chased that and then just let the centre-back pass on. Just a waste of energy. But today, I thought we were very, very good. At any point during that first half, you could probably pause the game and you will see good organisation. Very rarely were we pulled out of shape. Everybody had a job. They knew what they were doing. Quite often, Mark Noble was on the right wing because Yarmolenko drifted into the middle, chasing Hazard about the pitch a little bit. And Mark Noble came over and covered for him. At one point, Balbuena had the ball in our box. But 5 seconds later, he was chasing the Chelsea keeper down. But as soon as the camera come out, you could see Declan Rice standing in Balbuena's position waiting for him, saying, well, I've noticed you've gone up there and I'm going to wait here for you to get your arse back and stuff. And that's what we were missing. There was little game plans I really liked. When the one that I was impressed with the most is when they had a corner. Fabianski got it straight away. He was looking for a 50, 60-yard kick out his hands. Anderson and Yarmolenko were wide. Because then if the ball does go out for a throw, and so what? We pushed the team up. We were superb, I thought. We were just unfortunate not to take those chances that we created. I think we created the best one in the first half, and I think we created the best one in the second half as well. But Charlie, individual players now, is there anyone you'd like to pick out? I don't think you're going to be criticising anyone today, so who would you like to pick out to give some praise to?
Yeah, I think even the worst players had quiet games as opposed to bad games. There's a lot of people who I think had fantastic performances. I think Noble played very well. Zabaleta, Balbuena, Rice, I think all had very good games. Anderson had Azpilicueta on toast a couple of times. There was a few times where he would receive the ball and drift past Azpilicueta like he was not a player who even existed, which was fun to watch. But I think man of the match for me has to go to probably Zabaleta. I think he was just fantastic. If he was younger, then some of the opportunities where we did break down right hand side, he would have been creating such good chances because he is so good at finding the space and finding the right positions. And then coming back, he covered brilliantly and then just watched the play ahead of him brilliantly. I think Zabaleta was amazing to me.
Tom, what about yourself? I think we're all going to be praising the individual players, but we might have a different perspective of each individual performance. So who would you like to pick out and praise? Yeah,
I think to a man, I think the whole team today were brilliant. And I think that, there's a number of performances. I think Fabianski was superb again. I think it almost becomes just routine for him. It's like, what's he going to do to stand out to get man of the match? Because I think he just goes and does the work that, like we said, should be done. I thought Diop and Balbuena, their partnerships budding they look brilliant together. They really do. It's a nice change from having Ogbonna and Reed being, back there for the last few seasons. It's a nice breath of fresh air almost to see these two confident centre backs playing the way they are at the minute. I thought Zabaleta was great, but for me, I think it's just a Declan Rice. I think for 19 years of age, what he does and the way that he does it, I know I don't want to keep saying it, about his reading of the game and the way that he can shut things down for such a young age. And like you said, when he was getting back into position, he doesn't think like a normal 19-year-old would. He's got such an older head on his shoulders, and he just makes everybody else around him better. I look at him and I feel like that. I think he gives Noble that freer role. He allows Obiang to push up a little bit more. His confidence and what he brings to this team, especially in that role just in front of the back four, I think is immense. And I thought once again today he proved why England are after him specifically, but why he's probably one of the best young players in the league by far.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think somehow Fabianski isn't going to get voted man of the match here, despite keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea, making top saves. Every player out there was at least a 7.5 out of 10 today, at least. I thought everybody was superb. No one was bad. There was no individual errors as well. There was little mistakes here and there, but nothing glaring, which is not something we're used to West Ham. Usually there's at least one great big fuck up, usually in defence, but there was none of that today. And we're now finally playing with a back four that we can be confident in. We're not dreading it, thinking, quite often you see a lot of people say we need to change the back five. We're not going to hear that anymore. I think people are now going to have faith that we can play with a back four. That back four can play together. The three that I'm going to pick out is, you've already mentioned them, but the one that I really like, the one thing I'm really starting to fall in love with is the way Balbuena gets in front of his marker to intercept the ball. The first goal against Everton last weekend came from him doing that. And there was a couple of times today he got in front of the ball coming. Chelsea were passing about, pinging it about to their feet, which, by the way, I was really impressed with how Chelsea moved the ball about in that middle of the pitch. They've got a player 3 yards to the side of them. Doesn't matter. Give it to them to their feet. And they were pinging it about. And the ball coming to Giroud. Balbuena just stepped in front of him and got the ball, bang. And then we start counter-attacking. And that is something I have not seen at West Ham for as long as I can remember supporting them. I can't remember last time we had a centre back good enough like that. James Collins used to get like a rush of blood to try and do it, but he wasn't good enough. The striker would turn and he'd be moving into his space. Reid would clatter into a player, etc. But what Balbuena can do with that, his reading is fantastic to be able to do that as well. Zabaleta was my man of match as well. I'm going to agree with Charlie. I think he was incredible. My love for him gets deeper every single game. But Declan, last weekend against Everton, I thought Declan Rice and Obiang had their best game in a West Ham United shirt. This weekend, I think Rice has somehow gone and done it again. I think he's actually done better than last weekend. You have to take into considering the opposition. You have to consider that last weekend it was Sigurdsson. This weekend he had Hazard coming from one side. The movement of Chelsea's midfield in front of him. But as Tom said, the composure that this boy shows is just ridiculous. How he can be so composed at that age. And with this contract demand going on, if he wants 30 grand a week, well, I suggest West Ham snap it up pretty quick, because in a month's time it's going to be 40 grand a week, and in 3 months' time it's going to be 50 grand a week, because that boy's performances are going to justify that big request that he could put in. So, but Charlie, any final words from yourself before we disappear? Happy Hammer, obviously.
Yeah, big time. And all of a sudden, I feel confident going into games against teams that are objectively better than us, against Chelsea, Man United, City, all these teams. All of a sudden, I feel like we have a formation and we have a group of players who look like they're up for it. And when you look at Yarmolenko and Anderson, they drop really deep. And although Yarmolenko is not exactly a great defensive player, he's at least getting back into position and trying to track people. And that's something which we haven't had for a couple of seasons as well. It's just people on the wide backing up those fullbacks. And all of a sudden, when you team that with a great centre midfield pairing or partnership with these three in this case, dropping back and really being solid, we look like we can hold them out, because Chelsea, for all of the possession he had, didn't create that many good chances.
Charlie, lastly from yourself before we move on, Tom, you only get 1 point, but does it feel like a win?
To an extent, yeah, it definitely does. And all of us, like I said, it's less the point, as great as that is, it's the confidence that brings going into the next games that feels like a win.
Tom, what about yourself? Any final words?
Yeah, I mean, I can only echo what Charlie said. It's a testament almost to Pellegrini. We expected to be dominated in this game. That there's no two ways about it. Chelsea's midfield is absolutely quality. And Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic coming up against Noble, Obiang, and Rice. What they've done today, I think, is superb. And I think as well, it's another testament to the fitness levels of Pellegrini and to the belief that he's got into those players that actually we can be on the back foot for a large portion of the game, but when we break with pace. We look good and we defend well, and I think it's the perfect mix that he has, because he can use that same formation potentially against Brighton in a couple of weeks or Man United, but we can hold on to the ball more and we can attack more. I think we're only going to get better from here. And I think having the result that we did at the weekend against Everton and the result today, I think Man United, I would say, is almost like a winnable game, a massively winnable now, because I think this is, our season has turned at Everton, and it can only get better from here. I think that we were to a man absolutely brilliant today, and long may it continue.
I have to give you a fitness levels comment there, Tom, because often at the first half I was thinking we're going to tire eventually, and that's where we're maybe going to get exposed. I didn't see it. Even Yarmolenko, who I didn't think would be defensively that good today, the graft he put in down that right-hand side was unbelievable. He was getting forward and he was getting back. You could tell he was knackered for the last 10 minutes, but he still ran. And there's a difference between someone like that and someone who's knackered and doesn't run. We've seen him at West Ham. Antonio last season is probably a prime example. But what I'm going to say is I thought Antonio played well today. I thought he held the ball up well. Quite often he would win throw-ins up the pitch, and it allows us to push up. His finishing's not brilliant, and his decision-making in the final third is not brilliant, but we all know that. But what we were asking him to replace Arnautovic. He was never going to do that, but what he did do, I thought was good. And I have to say, I felt we missed him when he went off and Perez come on. I thought there was a big difference between the two, and not a good one. But you have to remember today, we played today without our two best players. Our two best players are out, and we've gone and got a fantastic result against a world-class side. One of the best teams I've seen in terms of passing in a long time in the Premier League as well. The last comment I want to make is I think Pellegrini's subs have been bang on for the last 2 weeks now. We had a little bit of confusion in the Wolves game because it felt like he was moving people about and he didn't really we couldn't quite understand what he was trying to do on touchline. Today and last weekend, I thought he got spot on. The Snodgrass one for Anderson confused a lot of people. You could hear the silence in the ground when that sub went up, but 3 minutes later, and Snodgrass went and put in that inch perfect cross for Yarmolenko, and then was chasing down Azpilicueta and Willian in the last minute. Okay, gave a free kick away, but he came on with that energy, etc. Fantastic result today. And as Tom says, we can now go against Man U. We were relaxed for going into the Chelsea one. I think we now can be fearless going into the Man United one. There's a big difference mentality, and it's all about confidence, Charlie said. But anyway, Charlie, Tom, thank you very much for joining me. We've been Hammers Chat. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new around here, and drop your comments in below and have a little video of them, and we will see you back during the preview for our cup game during the week as we take on Macclesfield in the League Cup. See you in a bit.